Last Tuesday, I stood at a podium in front of 200 people and delivered a eulogy for my sister Emma, who had supposedly died in a car accident 3 days earlier. I talked about her kindness, her dreams, her love for our family. I cried as I shared memories of the sister I thought I'd lost forever. But as I finished speaking and stepped down from the podium, the back doors of the funeral home opened and Emma walked in, very much alive, wearing jeans and a hoodie, with tears streaming down her face. She looked directly at me and said 4 words that would shatter everything I thought I knew about my family. "They lied to you." But here's what I didn't know. Emma's death was just the beginning of uncovering a conspiracy that went to the very heart of our family, involving people I trusted most and secrets that had been hidden for over 20 years. My name is Michael, and I'm about to tell you the most shocking story of my life. This isn't just about a faked death or a family secret. It's about discovering that sometimes the people who claim to love us most are the ones living the biggest lies. And sometimes the only way to save someone is to let them disappear. By the end of the story, you'll understand that family loyalty can be both a blessing and a curse, that love sometimes requires impossible sacrifices, and that the truth has a way of revealing itself at the most unexpected moments. To understand why seeing Emma walk into her own funeral was so earth-shattering, you need to know about our family and the phone call that started this nightmare. Emma and I had always been close, despite our 8-year age difference. She was 24, I was 32, and we talked almost every day. Emma was the kind of person who lit up every room she entered, funny, compassionate, always ready to help someone in need. She worked as a social worker in downtown Chicago, helping kids in the foster care system. It was demanding work that didn't pay much, but Emma loved it. She said those kids needed someone who would fight for them. Last Friday morning, I was getting ready for work when my phone rang. It was my father, and I could immediately tell something was wrong from his voice. "Michael, you need to sit down." "Dad, what's wrong?" "It's Emma. There was an accident last night, a car accident." My heart stopped. "Is she okay? Which hospital is she at?" "Michael, she didn't make it. Emma's gone." The words didn't make sense. I talked to Emma just the night before. She'd been excited about a case she was working on, a little girl she was trying to get placed with a loving family. "Dad, that's impossible. I just talked to her yesterday." "I know, son, I know. But the police called this morning. Her car went off the road on Highway 94. They said she died on impact." The next few days were a blur of funeral arrangements, phone calls to relatives, and trying to process the impossible reality that my vibrant, alive sister was gone. My parents handled most of the arrangements. They said they wanted to spare me the details, that I should focus on writing the eulogy since Emma and I had been so close. "She would want you to speak for her," my mother said, tears in her eyes. "You knew her better than anyone." I spent hours writing that eulogy, trying to capture the essence of who Emma was, what she meant to our family, how much she'd accomplished in her short life. One thing that bothered me was that my parents insisted on a closed casket funeral. "The accident was severe," my father explained. "We want people to remember Emma as she was, not—" I understood, even though part of me needed to see her one last time to make it feel real. But I trusted my parents' judgment. They were grieving too, and if they thought a closed casket was best, I would respect that. Tuesday morning arrived gray and rainy, which seemed fitting for such a devastating day. The funeral home was packed with Emma's friends, co-workers, college classmates, and extended family. I sat in the front row with my parents, staring at the closed casket covered in white roses, Emma's favorite flowers. It still didn't feel real. I kept expecting Emma to walk in and tell us this was all some terrible mistake. When it was time for the eulogy, I walked to the podium on shaking legs, looking out at all those faces, people who had loved Emma, people whose lives she had touched. I began to speak. Emma wasn't just my sister. She was my best friend, my conscience,
and the person who taught me what it means to live with purpose. I talked about Emma's childhood, how she'd always been the one to rescue injured birds and stray cats. I shared stories about her college years when she'd changed her major 3 times before finding her calling in social work. Emma used to say that every child deserves someone who will fight for them. She didn't just say it, she lived it. Every day she went to work knowing that she might be the only person standing between a vulnerable child and a system that could fail them. I was crying by then, but I pushed through, wanting to honor Emma's memory properly. My sister believed that love was an action, not just a feeling. She showed love by showing up, by fighting for justice, by never giving up on people that others had written off.
As I concluded the eulogy and stepped down from the podium, I heard a commotion at the back of the funeral home. The doors opened, and I looked up expecting to see a late arrival. Instead, I saw Emma. She was wearing jeans and a gray hoodie, her hair pulled back in a ponytail. She looked tired and scared, but she was unmistakably, impossibly alive. The entire funeral home fell silent. People started gasping, some screamed, others just stared in shock. Emma's eyes found mine across the room, and she said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "They lied to you." What happened next was complete chaos. People were shouting, crying, demanding explanations. Some thought they were seeing a ghost. Others thought it was some kind of cruel joke. My parents looked like they'd seen a ghost, which in a way they had. My mother actually fainted, and my father caught her as she fell. I ran toward Emma, pushing through the crowd of confused mourners. When I reached her, I grabbed her shoulders, needing to confirm she was real. Emma, is it really you? It's me, Michael. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry you had to go through this. But how? Dad said you were dead. He said there was a car accident. There was no accident, Michael. I've been hiding. I've been in protective custody. Emma looked around the funeral home at all the shocked faces, then back at me. Michael, we need to talk, privately. There are things about our family that you don't know, things that put me in danger. What kind of things? Not here, too many people. Can we go somewhere private? I looked back at my parents, who were both staring at Emma like they couldn't believe what they were seeing. My father's face had gone completely white. Emma, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be safe? Emma interrupted. I was safe, Dad, until I realized what you'd done to Michael, until I realized you were going to let him grieve for a sister who wasn't dead. The funeral director, clearly out of his depth, suggested we move to a private room. Emma, my parents, and I followed him to a small office behind the chapel, leaving 200 confused mourners behind. As soon as the door closed, my father exploded. Emma, what the hell are you doing? You're supposed to be in witness protection. You're supposed to be dead. Do you have any idea what you've just done? Witness protection? I stared at my father. Dad, what is he talking about? Emma sat down heavily in a chair. Michael, 3 weeks ago, I witnessed something I wasn't supposed to see. Something that put my life in danger. What did you see? I saw our father kill someone.
The room went dead silent. I looked at my father, expecting him to deny it, to explain that Emma was confused or traumatized. Instead, he just closed his eyes and sat down. Dad, I said, Dad, tell me Emma's wrong. I can't tell you that, Michael, because she's not wrong. My world tilted. What do you mean she's not wrong? Emma leaned forward. Michael, Dad isn't who you think he is. He's not just a retired accountant. He's been working for some very dangerous people for years. That's impossible. Dad worked for Henderson and Associates for 30 years. That was his cover, Emma said. His real job was laundering money for organized crime. And 3 weeks ago, his partner tried to expose the operation. Emma's voice was steady, but I could see her hands shaking. I went to Dad's office to surprise him for lunch. I had a key because I used to help him with filing when I was in college. When I got there, I heard voices in the conference room. I was going to leave, but then I heard shouting. I looked through the glass door and saw Dad arguing with his partner, Mr. Henderson.
Emma, you don't have to.
My father started. Yes, I do, Emma interrupted. Michael deserves to know the truth. She turned back to me. Henderson was going to the FBI. He said he couldn't be part of the money laundering anymore, that he was going to turn himself in and cooperate with authorities. And then, Dad shot him. I stared at my father. This man who had raised me, taught me to ride a bike, helped me with homework, walked me down the aisle at my wedding. Dad, please tell me this isn't true. Michael, you have to understand. Henderson was going to destroy everything, not just me, but the entire organization. People would have died. So you killed him instead? I didn't have a choice. Emma continued the story. After Dad shot Henderson, he called someone. Within an hour, there were people there cleaning up the scene, moving the body. They made it look like Henderson had never been there. But Emma saw everything, my father said quietly. And that made me a liability.
The people Dad works for don't leave witnesses alive, Emma explained. When Dad told them I'd seen the murder, they wanted to kill me too. But Dad convinced them there was another way. He told them he could make me disappear without killing me, that it would be less risky than another murder. I looked at my father. So you faked her death? I arranged for Emma to go into witness protection, unofficial witness protection. I have contacts in law enforcement who owed me favors. The car accident was staged. They found a body that matched Emma's general description, a Jane Doe from the morgue, and burned it beyond recognition in a car registered to Emma. And you let me believe my sister was dead? It was the only way to keep her safe, Michael. If anyone suspected she was alive, they would have kept looking for her. Emma stood up and walked to the window. Michael, I agreed to this plan initially because I was terrified. I thought it was the only way to stay alive. But then I realized what it was doing to you, to Mom. I watched from a distance as you planned my funeral, as you wrote my eulogy. I couldn't let you go through with burying an empty casket. So you decided to reveal yourself at your own funeral? I decided that some things are more important than staying safe. I couldn't let my family grieve for me when I was alive. I looked at my father. Dad, do you understand what you've put us through? Do you understand that I've spent the last 5 days thinking my sister was dead? I understand, Michael, and I'm sorry, but I was trying to protect her. By lying to me? By letting me suffer? Michael, there's more, Emma said quietly. The reason I came back isn't just because I couldn't stand watching you grieve. It's because I found out something else. What? Dad's bosses never intended for me to stay in witness protection forever. They were planning to have me killed once the heat died down from Henderson's disappearance. My father's face went pale. Emma, that's not true. They gave me their word. Emma, I overheard a phone conversation between my FBI contact and someone else. They were talking about cleaning up loose ends once the Henderson investigation was closed. You were never going to be safe in witness protection, Emma. They were just waiting for the right moment to eliminate you permanently. I sat down heavily, trying to process everything I'd learned in the past 10 minutes. So, let me get this straight. Dad, you're a money launderer for organized crime. You killed your business partner to protect your criminal operation. You faked Emma's death to save her life, and now the same people who wanted her dead are planning to kill her anyway. That's about the size of it, Emma said. And now that you've revealed yourself at your own funeral in front of 200 witnesses, you're in even more danger. Probably. I looked at my father. Dad, what's your plan now? How do you fix this? I don't know, Michael. I honestly don't know. As if on cue, there was a knock on the office door. The funeral director opened it to reveal 2 people in dark suits holding FBI badges. Agent Sarah Martinez, FBI. We're looking for Emma Chin. Emma stood up. I'm Emma Chin. Miss Chin, you need to come with us. Your life is in immediate danger. How did you know I was here? We've been monitoring the situation. When you revealed yourself at the funeral, it triggered alerts in our system. The people your father works for now know you're alive. Agent Martinez looked at my father. Mr. Chin, you're under arrest for the murder of Robert Henderson and for money laundering conspiracy. As the FBI agents handcuffed my father, he looked at Emma and me with tears in his eyes. "I'm sorry, kids. I'm sorry for all of it. I thought I was protecting our family, but I just made everything worse. Dad, Emma should have trusted me with the truth from the beginning. I should have trusted both of you," he replied. Agent Martinez turned to Emma. "Miss Chen, we need to get you to a safe location immediately. Our intelligence suggests there's already a contract out on your life." "What about Michael? Is he in danger too?" "Potentially. Anyone connected to this family could be a target now." Within an hour, Emma and I were in an FBI safe house across town, trying to process the fact that our entire lives had been turned upside down in a single day. "Emma, I can't believe this is real. This morning I thought you were dead. Now I find out Dad's a murderer and we're both in witness protection. Michael, I'm so sorry you got dragged into this. I never wanted you to be involved." "I'm not sorry. I'm glad you're alive. I'm glad you came back, even if it means we're both in danger now." Emma smiled for the first time since walking into their funeral home. "I couldn't let you bury an empty casket. I couldn't let you think I was gone forever." Over the next few days, the FBI filled us in on the scope of the criminal organization our father had been involved with. It was much larger than we'd imagined. A network of businesses, politicians, and law enforcement officials all working together to launder money for various criminal enterprises. Our father's testimony, combined with Emma's eyewitness account of Henderson's murder, was enough to bring down the entire operation. "Your father's cooperation is going to save a lot of lives," Agent Martinez told us. "This organization was responsible for dozens of murders over the years." "What's going to happen to him?" I asked. "He'll serve time, probably 15 to 20 years, but his cooperation will be taken into account during sentencing." The hardest part was dealing with my mother, who had known about Dad's criminal activities, but had chosen to look the other way for years. "I knew something wasn't right," she admitted during one of our supervised visits, "but I didn't want to know the details. I thought if I didn't ask questions, I could pretend everything was normal." "Mom, how could you not tell us?" Emma asked. "Because I was afraid. Afraid of losing your father, afraid of losing our life, afraid of what would happen if the truth came out. But you were willing to let me think Emma was dead? I thought it was temporary. Your father said it would just be for a few months until things calmed down." My father's trial was a media sensation. The story of the accountant who killed his partner and faked his daughter's death to cover it up made headlines across the country. Emma and I both testified, describing the impact his lies had on our family. It was painful to testify against our father, but we knew it was necessary for justice to be served. During his sentencing hearing, my father addressed the court. "I want to apologize to my children, who deserved better than a father who lived a double life. I want to apologize to Robert Henderson's family, who lost a good man because of my selfish choices. And I want to apologize to everyone who was hurt by my actions." He was sentenced to 18 years in prison. Emma and I remained in witness protection for 6 months while the FBI rounded up the remaining members of the criminal organization. Eventually, it was told it was safe to resume our normal lives, though we would always need to be cautious. Emma decided to relocate to a different city and start over with a new identity. The trauma of everything she'd been through made it impossible for her to return to her old life. "I need a fresh start," she told me. "I need to be somewhere where I'm not constantly looking over my shoulder." I understood, even though it meant we wouldn't see each other as often. The past 2 years have been about healing and rebuilding. Emma and I talk every week, and we visit each other regularly. She's found work as a victim's advocate, helping other people who've been affected by violent crime. I've been in therapy, working through the trauma of thinking my sister was dead, discovering my father was a murderer, and having my entire understanding of my family shattered in a single day. My mother and I have a complicated relationship now. I understand that she was a victim too, in many ways, but I struggle with the fact that she was complicit in the lies that nearly destroyed our family. But there have been unexpected positives to come out of this nightmare. Emma and I are closer now than we've ever been. Going through something this traumatic together has created a bond that can't be broken.
We've also connected with other families who have been affected by organized crime, and we've become advocates for victims' rights and witness protection reform. Something good has to come out of all this pain, Emma said recently. If our story can help other families, then maybe it was worth it. The criminal organization that our father was part of had tentacles reaching into dozens of businesses and government agencies. The investigation that started with Emma witnessing Henderson's murder eventually led to over 200 arrests and the recovery of millions of dollars in stolen money. Emma's courage in coming forward, despite the danger to herself, helped bring justice to countless victims of this criminal enterprise. The FBI has used our case as an example of how witness protection programs need to be reformed to better protect people like Emma, who are caught between law enforcement and organized crime. Emma and I visit our father in prison regularly. It's complicated. We love him, but we're also angry about the choices he made and the lies he told. I understand why you thought you were protecting me, Emma told him during one visit, but you should have trusted me to handle the truth. I know. I was so afraid of losing you that I almost lost you anyway. Our relationship with him will never be the same, but we're working toward forgiveness. He's a different person in prison, more honest, more reflective about the harm his choices caused. This experience has taught me that family is more complicated than we often want to admit. People we love are capable of terrible things, but they're also capable of extraordinary sacrifice. My father committed murder and lived a double life for years, but he also risked everything to save Emma's life when he could have just let the criminal organization kill her. Emma made the incredibly brave choice to reveal herself at her own funeral, knowing it would put her in danger because she couldn't bear to let her family suffer.
But there's one more aspect of this story that we're still unraveling. During the investigation, the FBI discovered that our father had been secretly recording conversations with his criminal associates for years. It's like he was building an insurance policy, Agent Martinez explained. He knew that someday he might need evidence to protect himself or his family. Those recordings have led to additional arrests and investigations that are still ongoing. It turns out our father was documenting criminal activity long before Emma witnessed Henderson's murder. The most shocking revelation came just last month when the FBI shared some of those recordings with us. In one conversation, recorded 2 years before Henderson's murder, our father was heard talking to someone about protecting his children from the family business. He had been planning an exit strategy for years, looking for a way to get out of the criminal organization without putting Emma and me in danger. Henderson's threat to go to the FBI forced his hand before he was ready, leading to the murder that started this whole chain of events. Your father may have been a criminal, Agent Martinez told us, but everything he did was motivated by his desire to protect his family. Today, 3 years after Emma walked into her own funeral, we're still dealing with the aftermath of that day. Emma has built a new life in Seattle, working with crime victims and testifying in cases involving organized crime. I've started a nonprofit organization that helps families affected by criminal activity, providing support and resources for people who find themselves caught between law enforcement and criminal organizations. Our father will be eligible for parole in 12 years. Emma and I haven't decided whether we'll support his release, but we know we'll face that decision together when the time comes. The funeral that was supposed to be the end of Emma's story turned out to be the beginning of our family's journey toward truth and healing. Emma's decision to walk into that funeral home and say, "They lied to you," was the moment our family stopped living a lie and started facing reality, no matter how painful it was.